So today I want to talk about what exactly Princeton in Africa is and how I ended up here in Lesotho, the application process, the history of Princeton in Africa, the logistics of Princeton in Africa, and for anyone who's actually interested in applying, I'm hoping that this will be a good resource for them. And if you guys have any specific questions about the application, or if you need help with the application, feel free to reach out to me as well, and I will help you with the application. There's so many. Hello. So many of you guys know that I'm in Lesotho right now for a whole year, and I kind of wanted just to go into detail of why I'm here, the program that I'm with, applications, etc. So I am here as a Princeton in Africa Fellow. So Princeton in Africa, their tagline is service for a year, but commitment for a lifetime. So Princeton in Africa was founded in 1999 by Princeton students at the time who are interested in doing service on the continent of Africa. And over the past 20 years, they've had over 600 fellows placed in about 36 different African countries. So you do not have to be a Princeton graduate to apply to Princeton in Africa. You just have to be a graduate of a U.S. accredited university. So if you are interested in development, specifically development in Africa, if you're interested in agricultural development, economic, education, public health, any of that, there are so many different organizations that Princeton in Africa works with. And so to kind of tell you guys the structure a little bit, so when you apply to Princeton in Africa, you are also applying to work with a specific organization on the continent. So it's almost like a two-process application. And these organizations are throughout the whole entire continent, and they range from Tanzania to here, Lesotho, Eswatini, South Africa. You have the African Leadership Academy, Baylor, for which I work with, the Clinton Health Initiative, so many different organizations. And so it's almost a cross between it's a fellowship, it's an internship, it's a job. So when you are working for these organizations, you are working 40-hour weeks. You are working as a person employed by that organization. So I'm going to go over the application process a little bit. So when you apply, applications are due October. I believe this one is due October 28th, but I'll write it somewhere here when it's actually due. So when you apply, you do need a letter of recommendation, and you also answer a couple of essays that ask you why you want to specifically work in Africa, because they do have programs. They have Princeton in Asia. I believe they have Princeton in Latin America as well. So why you want to specifically work in Africa? Why do you want to kind of form these lifelong? Wow, it's so windy. My thing is about to fall. Okay. Stay. Why you want to form these lifelong relationships with people here on the continent. And so after the application, if you do pass the first round, then you go to the second round, then you get I believe you have two different interviews for the first and second round. So the second round they're both with Princeton in Africa. After that, after they see that you're a good fit for the organization, you're also asked to pick what organization best interests you. And there's a whole list on the website of the organizations that Princeton Africa works with. So after you pick the organizations that you want to work with, Princeton Africa, and after Princeton Africa picks you, you also have an interview with the organization. So the organization that you pick isn't always going to be the organization that you interview with. Princeton Africa is kind of going to find an organization that best suits you, and vice versa. So to give you an example, so when I applied in October. I was placed in May. So in between that, it was a lot of interviews, a lot of waiting. I was also traveling, so I missed the first email that I received. So okay, this is what happened. So I was in Sudan. I didn't have Wi-Fi. I was told that I had made it to, or I had an interview, and I didn't see it. So it took me so long to respond that they actually took back their offer. And I had to email them like, listen guys, like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have absolutely no Wi-Fi. I did not see this email at all. So they were kind enough to give me another interview. So after that interview, I waited a little bit. They asked me, what organizations do you think are, you would be interested in? And I think they differed from the organizations that I had put in. I might be wrong in this category. but they ended up choosing a couple for me, and I was like, okay, this is great. So around April, April to May, I had an interview with Baylor here in Lesotho, and then in May I found out that I was placed. So when you first apply, you do have to pay a $75 application fee, and then later on, if you do get accepted and you do want to do the fellowship, you have to pay a $350 deposit, and you also have to pay your round trip ticket, so your ticket to your country and your ticket back. However, that time, that 1 year that you're on the continent is covered for. They give you a stipend, which is almost equivalent to a paycheck, just a little bit. It's for living expenses. You also get a pretty comprehensive health insurance. So that's kind of the logistics. So every year, Princeton in Africa picks about 50 fellows from around the country, and we meet twice. So we meet the first time during orientation, which is around June, and they go over a bunch of stuff. I personally really liked orientation. I like meeting so many different people who are like me, who are like-minded, who have the same like initiatives in the world. And then we meet again during our mid-year retreat in March. That's here on the continent. So yeah, so what else? Oh yeah, your placement. So you were placed from June to September 2nd. So during those months, those are the time that you would leave to your country, and then you would spend a whole year and come back during the time that you left the following year. And so depending on what country you are, you might have fellows there as well. I'm going to let the wind do its thing. So you excuse me, you might have fellows there as well. So for example, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya have a pretty good number of people it's more than one fellow. So you kind of know somebody before you go. However, Lesotho, I am the only person here. So that's been interesting. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's nothing you can't overcome. So we have placements in Lesotho, Eswatini, which was once Swaziland. We have South Africa, Botswana, Malawi, Zambia, I think Zimbabwe, I'm not sure. It's a lot of countries. We have Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone. Yeah, so it's a good number of countries. They do change every year, every couple of years, depending on what organizations decide to participate or not. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend you to apply. It is kind of competitive. They accept about 10% of applicants. But if you really do have a passion for working on the continent and you're able to, deliver that really well through your essays, then I think that you should really apply, and you have a really good chance of getting in. This year has been such a great year in terms of the applicant pool, in terms of the cohort. So usually when I do these kinds of organizations, these kinds of programs, the majority of the programs are white students. And so now it's a lot more diverse, and you would have white students, you would have some black, you would have like zero Hispanics, but now it's like across the board. We have like everybody, and actually the majority, I think now, is black African women, which is so crazy. Like it's 3 of us from Sudan, we have 2 from Ethiopia, we have Ghana, we have I think 2 from Nigeria, we have 1 from Sierra Leone. It's like all over the continent. It's just so great, and it's so great to see like African people want to go back to the continent and help out. So I really do recommend that if you are interested in development, and specifically in development in Africa, if you're interested to see how work outside of the US this is such a great opportunity for you, especially if you're around this age. If you just graduated from college, this is such a great opportunity for you because you're young now. Like what we have now is time. We might not have all the money in the world, but we have time. So this is the best way to use that time, because later on it might be a little bit harder to do it. So applications are October, and if you are applying and you need help, let me know. I will help you with the application. If you have any questions, let me know. I will do a separate video at the end of the year, just kind of a little, I guess, summary of my experience as a Princeton in Africa Fellow. And if you have any questions, then also let me know. So the point is, if you have any questions, anything that I have not covered in this video, please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. So once again, apply. Get your recommendation now. I believe applications are due at the end of October. So good luck.